style someday. Oh, dream maker, you heartbreaker.
Are we live? This is Michelle Peterson reporting live from Rocking Banana Studios. This is my third time of doing this. I had to skip Wednesday after Super Tuesday. I'm not going to lie, to drink a little. And I get a lot of calls from friends of mine because I keep giggling at this banana, and they keep asking me if I'm high here at Rocking Banana Studios. And we need to give credit where credit's due. Parallel Arc Media, full-blown social media company that I made up. But ultimately, what I need you to know is I've gotten used to this banana now, this rocking banana. And no, I'm not high. It was just the first time I was doing that, and I was a little nervous, like most people who do things for the first time. I got a double chin, too, and when I started looking at myself, I wondered, do I need to somehow figure out how to get rid of this double chin? Because the word of the day is disappointment. And I'm disappointed in those old boys in Washington that they didn't give Elizabeth Warren a shot to try to take on the bank. She is a bankruptcy court attorney who used to be a Republican who gets this system as it stands. And I told somebody back in December that I might try to run for vice president. Well, I got about 200 people who told me you can't run for vice president. And I said, well, that's the thing about can't and won't and all those words like that is that you got to finish with right now. And as things start to change and we see this world changing very, very quickly, the stock market's on fire. Don't know whether it's going up or down at 1,000% or 200% each day when you look at it. And 2 and 3% seems to be the key. Here at Rocking Banana Studios, we have gotten our logo. And I have stopped laughing at it, which is a shame because it made me laugh so hard when I first saw it. And then everybody had to ruin it by asking me if I was high. And I don't know if you all understand that sometimes the reason that things happen, cannabis got legalized. It's helped a lot of cancer patients out in states that are a little bit more progressive than Tennessee. And unfortunately, they've taxed the daylights out of it, so there's still a black market, and 60 Minutes and Netflix, they're all those media guys doing shows on it. And our favorite media guy, we want to give him credit where credit is due. He's also my favorite billionaire in this country. His name is John Malone. John Malone owns the most amount of real estate in the United States. Everybody thinks it's Ted Turner, and he's so elusive that most people don't even know it's John Malone who owns the most amount of real estate in the United States. So I figure he's got some skin in this game about Elizabeth Warren getting, she just didn't know how all those boys play over there in Washington and how Bloomberg got in the race to dilute her ticket. And he went in it on the basis the way Trump did. And that's what we're going to talk about for a little while here at Rocking Banana Studios. That's what I talked about this morning on my Facebook page. And I think we might pray our way out of here, but I got to find the right prayer. Maybe somebody will text it to me again, because I sometimes get into my texts. I get about 400 texts a day. People keep asking me, what do I do? Well, I own a lot of real estate in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So John Malone owns a lot of real estate in the United States. And I own, a little bit of real estate, I guess, in Chattanooga, Tennessee. But ultimately, we're going to give thanks where thanks is due. We're going to thank. I can't get used to this camera, y'all. And I'm not laughing anymore, so that's what makes this not funny anymore. Because, see, what you all don't realize is that I'm looking at myself watching this banana rock while turning things the opposite way. So somebody told me it's like I'm looking in a mirror, but I've never moved things in a mirror because I don't have mirrors around my house, because my dad told me you had to be pretty to get somebody to love you, and I didn't believe that. And I still love him for it. Help protect me sometimes. But this is sponsored by the Chattanooga Bottled Water Appreciation Society. So we want to give credit where credit's due. First time the show ever came out. That's our logo. That's their logo. Chattanooga Bottled Appreciation Society. We're going to put that down. And I like these old boys at Riley Construction. If they ever hear about me, they helped me build the Betty. That was well, my favorite person in the world was my grandmother, Betty. And she grew up in Virginia, Albemarle County. And then they moved with the railroad down to Erwin, Tennessee. And that's where she landed. And I spent a lot of time in Rock Creek Falls in Erwin, Tennessee. It's the most beautiful place in the world. And Riley Construction, those boys are the nicest boys. If you ever need anything moved, they can just about move anything for you. And they are really, truly the nicest boys. And then this is the bourbon that I drank. See, I can't get used to these opposites. Tuesday night. And luckily I had 2 bottles of it. And so I'm put that right here. And the old boys at Riverside Wine and Spirits, they sold me 2 bottles of this. And let me tell y'all, it may have our prayer on it. Let's see what it says, because they decided to put something on here on this bourbon bottle. Make me feel good when I started feeling bad about things and drinking a little bit more than I probably should. Dogs are not our whole life, but they make our lives whole. That's the sweetest thing, isn't it? Let me say that again. Dogs are not our whole life, but they make our lives whole. So anyways, and they brought me a glass. I wasn't sure whether I was going to have any more today, because I usually don't drink during the middle of the day, because I was told that if you drink during the middle of the day, well, that's coming from the night before. And so I decided that I would make it through my day and skip a day and coming in here and seeing you guys. And Elizabeth Warren, man, I like that old gal. She had like things to be said that the financial services industry, they were a little bit worried about her. And so Bloomberg got in the race, and he went around the country, and I saw all my friends going out and saying things like what it sounded like with Trump, that he could drain the swamp, all while coming from the casino industry. So it's no surprise to anybody that our stock market's acting like the casino right now, that he probably, neutered too, because our Fed's being neutered right now. And the effectiveness of our Fed is that it's supposed to come in times that make sense. And these kind of times don't make sense right now. If you've gone to school, and I didn't ever graduate from UTC, but I took about 180 hours there and listened to several smart people there telling me how global economics works. And I decided that I wasn't going to do business with a lot of people outside the United States. And people keep asking me, what do you do? And I usually answer as much as I can. But today, we're going to show y'all what I do and why I'm doing this. So I don't know these guys at Lone Whiskey, but their bourbon is really good. And I love these guys at Riley, because those old boys, they're young, they're hungry, they know what they're doing, and they helped me put some artificial turf down that was made down at Shaw Industries. I went down there and met with those fellas about their artificial turf. It's great turf. And then the Chattanooga Bottled Water Appreciation Society, we need to give them their due, because they have helped build Chattanooga and allowed me to come down here and get it out of the smog. And so, Mayor Bloomberg came into town. I like to call him Mayor Frisk. And he got a whole bunch of people excited about him. What he didn't realize is he was playing a game of poker. He was doing a little bit of sleight of hand on Elizabeth Warren. That's why I say she should run a third party right now, because nobody's going to take on what the problem in this country is this we got a collusion problem. We got banks that are running amok and making too much money off poor people, and the people in this country, don't matter what you give them, they're not going to spend that money unless you scare them half to death. And that is what markets are made of, fear and greed. So today we're going to try to help people. And Tennessee, I'm going to sponsor this out there for you guys in small business, because I kept my manufacturing in this country. And I own a company called Universal Lifts. And if my producer guy, will now throw that on, this is what I sell for a living. It's done right by me most of the time, most days, since I decided to help people out. We only sell the stair lifts that go straight run, because when you start making those curves, well, that costs a lot of money. And so we tell people, if you've got to buy 2, well, we hope to sell them to you where we've got a slight bit of margin. We've got people that are here to help if you need help. But ultimately, that stair lift is made here in America. And I think that's important still. And I think that would be important to almost everybody who cares, because these Chinese supply chains now, they're negotiating. And we're going to have supply chain disruption, because old casino operator thought he could threaten people. And what he didn't realize is that you can't make people do what you don't want them to do, even if they think that their families are going to suffer, because ultimately you can't get blood out of a turnip when you're working people for 2 cents a day. And so this is what's happening right now in our global economy is people are trying to figure out how they're going to handle things when we have a supply chain disruption, when China decides that they might not decide for everybody anymore. And so right now that may not make sense to you, but it will in 6 months. And this stair lift, I keep forgetting, at Universal Lifts, we've sold all over the country. We've helped people save money all over the country because somewhere in California, some old boy is selling a Chinese-made stair lift for $6,000, and we're selling them to him for $2,500. And what I keep saying is that we have overregulation and underfunded governments that aren't functioning properly, and that they're causing problems by licensing the people. And we used to have a license in this state that was an effective mechanism for keeping people safe, and now it's just a debt collection mechanism. My mother called me one time when she was working at Social Security. We always give praise to Mommy because she worked at Social Security for 42 years up in Johnson City, Tennessee. We won't say her name because people call me crazy at times. But she was very effective in helping people understand how the program's supposed to work and how it's going to benefit their family and them paying in. And I really appreciate her doing that because she got me to my soccer games, my basketball games. And if I drink, I always keep a basketball close by so that if I can't spin it, that means I'm drunk. If I can spin it still, then that means I'm not drunk. And it's an indicator to my friends to cut me off. At that point, we won't spin it today because I'm not going to drink today. But one day I might drink on here. Depends on how bad it gets out there. But no, I wasn't high. I just thought the rocking banana. Let's go back to the rocking banana, E. I thought the rocking banana was funny. And it still is, but it's not laughing funny anymore because Elizabeth Warren, she got took up there in Massachusetts. She got outplayed. And old girl didn't have enough on her team because, well, maybe the lock her up. Maybe the calling people fat. Maybe the, the shame and the guilt set in, and she just went at it alone. Well, that's what happens when you go out alone. They split the difference, and how I knew that the fix was in is the old boy that spent, the 8th richest man in the world, spent $1 gazillion putting people up on podiums and telling people how rich people know more than poor people, which I was taught never to believe. And ultimately, people bought into it. And they voted for him instead of her probably, and it probably cost her the only woman up there that really knows what's going on. So at this stage, I guess that's all I have to talk about today. I don't know that I had I don't know that I found a hashtag today other than millionaires, not billionaires, because that's what's going to continue to exist. Is a few millionaires, few people that think they're millionaires and probably owe a lot more money than they think. And as interest rates begin to go up, because these banks need to make money on what they have now, not on who they work, because, there's only so long until poor people decide they just want to stay at home and don't want to work anymore for 2 cents a day. And I think ultimately the paradigm shift has set in, and we're watching it, and we're going to see what this election cycle does, and we're going to see what this new trade deal with Mexico and Canada, that really was all about just sharing our data, but nobody's really talking about that, and that's okay, because ultimately what we have is we have a stair lift to sell today, and if you or your family member needs a really, really, really nice but well-made, inexpensive but not cheap stair lift, straight run is what it is. We've been selling on Amazon for a while. We've gotten a lot of reviews on Amazon all over the country, and we'll help you out and sell it to you today or maybe tomorrow, and maybe somebody else come in. But if you need some gravel made, these old boys didn't know I was going to do this because I just love them. They're two brothers, and I just love them. Really, I do, because they helped me move the aggregate that I needed that came from people that sell aggregate owned by Warren Buffett. And ultimately, Warren Buffett owns Shaw Industries too. He's a billionaire I kind of respect every now and then because he gets out and tells the truth. But he owns Wells Fargo. That's the third largest bank. He might argue it's the first largest bank in the country, maybe the world. But I like the Riley boys and Riley Construction. They didn't ask me, and nor did I. So if you fault them for me acting a little crazy, laughing at a banana, no, I wasn't high. And yes, I employ about 40 people. And yes, they know every now and then I'm likely to pull them aside and tell them they need to get their heart right, and I'll tell them a story about that. And the story I told those old boys reminded me why Elizabeth Warren, why she lost. I told that boy when I was drinking with him, I told all of them Tuesday night that the first elevator job I had here in Chattanooga, the guy told me I need to raise my skirt and lower my neckline. And I told him, I don't think that's how I'm going to sell this product of yours. And about 4 months later, I went into business against him, and he brought a gun to every bid opening I went to. And the only way that I knew how to do that was like the way Rockin' Banana Studio does. Is I just told him, if you kill me, my life insurance pays double for murder. And that's just the way it works in this country. You got to have a little bit of hope, and you got to make your way through it, and that's what we're asking for. But if you laugh at that banana, then you're like me. You see the beauty in very small things. And I hope that you'll see us tomorrow on here. And I may drink a little of this bourbon tomorrow, because is it Friday tomorrow? Friday tomorrow. Okay. Well, y'all have a great Thursday. Today's Thursday, right? Okay. I like my banana. Rockin' Banana Studios signing off.